All right. That's about ready. I need to shuffle a couple more chats over here. Oh. I need to turn off these streams because I don't need to hear myself. All right. That's probably good. So quick introduction. My name is Tim. How's it going, Johnny? I go by foamyguy on Discord and GitHub. We'll be working on CircuitPython stuff today. If you don't know anything about CircuitPython, this is a good place to learn more, circuitpython.org. The high-level version is, though, we're writing Python code that runs on these tiny devices, these tiny computers here. These are called microcontrollers. Like, this is the main brain of this particular board here. We're writing Python code that runs on these. CircuitPython is the name of the project that's allowing us to do this. It is an open source project. If you're interested in contributing, you can. There's a link here on circuitpython.org for contributing. And you can also get in touch with us on the Discord. We always love to help new folks get involved. If you're interested in the project but don't necessarily want to help develop or contribute to it, another thing you can do is purchase hardware from Adafruit.com. This is the company that provides the primary financial backing for the CircuitPython project. So they're paying the folks who work on the CircuitPython code and libraries and projects and things and help foster the community and learn guides and all sorts of stuff like this. So they pay the folks that work on the team full time. They pay some folks like me who work on the team part time. They pay all of us to work on CircuitPython. So if you purchase hardware from them, you are helping support us work on the project. Let's see here. I'm going to close a couple more of these text things I don't need. C. Grover, how's it going? So into my actual topic for the day, I'm just kind of picking up where I left off, sort of, last night on the deep dive working with this tab layout. I think I'm going to indulge a brief, hopefully brief, we'll see how brief it is once we actually get into it, but I think my plan is to indulge a hopefully brief rabbit hole to see if we can make setting the bitmap on a TileGrid be dynamic. So right now, I bookmarked this yesterday. Let's use it. Bookmarks. So we're going to go to the TileGrid docs, and what we see on the TileGrid docs, we provide a bitmap when we create it. When we initialize it, we provide a bitmap. Here's a parameter for it, but we can't update it. None of the properties allow us to change it currently. I tried this out last night, and I forget the exact error that it raised, but basically it said we're not allowed to just change the bitmap. We can't change it like this. But if we could, that would be pretty cool, because if we could, that would mean in order to swap these tiles between the inactive, which has the gray in the background, and the active, which in this case has the black in the background, in order to swap, we would just need to change the bitmap for the tile grid to the one that has black versus the one that has gray. If we're not able to do this, then the road that I talked about going down last night was basically moving, like basically keeping 3 gray ones and 1 black one, and then just moving the black one to the right location, and moving the gray one that was at that location to where the black one used to be. Just changing the X location in order to move these things around, which would work. I think visually that would have the same effect. But it's kind of a weirder way of having to do it. Then the location of these things starts to matter a lot more. Keeping track of which one and like where the active one is at currently becomes a different kind of a beast. So I think it'd be really great at the tab layout layer, at the layer that we were working on last night inside the tab layout. I think it would be great if we could just set a new bitmap on the tile grids in order to change from inactive to active and vice versa. So I'm going to try to take a dive into the core and see if we can make that possible. I don't know for sure if it will work. In fact, I think the chances are probably pretty good that it won't work for some reason that I assume we'll either run into or maybe even possibly run into and start to understand. But I think it's worth a try, because if it is just as simple as basically adding some getters and setters, and if it just works, that would be pretty cool, and it would make the tab layout code a lot nicer, I think. So that's what I'm going to try. Jim Hendrickson, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Let me shuffle a couple of these back to the top. I had my camera controls on top. That's what we're going to try to do, and basically the way that I'm going to try to do that is pretty much what I just said. Try to just add a getter and setter for the bitmap and just try to make it set the right thing internally and see if that actually works, or if we need to do more than that. I am not quite to the point of being able to just write core code from scratch, really, but I am kind of to the point of being able to copy paste chunks of it and change it around. So I'm kind of going to start by copying the pixel shader and pasting a copy of it and changing this over to bitmap, and then in all the places we need to, we'll change pixel shader to bitmap, and that will kind of give us all the boilerplate code we need in order to make this into an actual property at the Python layer where we can just say .bitmap equals a new thing. So we will have get bitmap, we will have set bitmap. Really, the set bitmap is mostly what I'm interested in. I guess getting it is kind of nice as well if you wanted to get a reference back to it, but and so this MP object T, we don't want pixel shader. I think we do want this MP object T though, because this bitmap that gets passed to us in the constructor is also this thing. So I think we could probably just choose the name bitmap, and then we just know the user is passing us a bitmap object. Also, one thing I should have done actually before I started already. Let me grab these real quick, actually. Let's, I have some other changes in here which are unrelated to this and will probably break. Let's put this back. Yeah. And what are our actual changes now? I think the changes I have right now were an attempt at making hidden vector IO shapes. I also show changes here and here. Maybe I updated. I think I did update the Circuit Playground at one point to test a PR. So that kind of makes sense as well, although I don't really want to commit it. What I am going to do though is, well, I don't want to commit this either, at least not to this branch. I'm going to make a new branch called hidden vector IO. Then I'm going to commit these changes inside a group to there. Trying to make vector IO shape hideable. We'll push to foamyguy, hidden vector IO, yeah. Push rejected. Okay. Yeah, this started happening recently. I think GitHub changed something about the way token permissions work or something. Truthfully though, I don't really need to push it, actually. I can just keep it locally for now. We're gonna have to be able to push eventually though, definitely. So I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. I think for now though, we can, because this committed, it just didn't push. So we have a commit in our local Git with that code in it, which is really what I want. It's not really ready to share anyway. It doesn't work. So like, it's not that we need it on GitHub. It'd be nice to have a backup of it somewhere else, but not that it's really ready for anyone else to use. We're gonna go to main. We're gonna pull to update main. Git fetch Adafruit pull. I guess this does fetching. I don't know. I'm superstitious. I like to fetch separately. We'll do update submodule thingy too. Fetch submodules, is it? I think it is. Partially updated. Changes. All right. I don't really want my local changes anyway, to the extent there were anymore. I will start right away. Let's just go ahead and make a new branch so that we don't end up weird like we were before. Check out HB. Let's see. TileGrid change bitmap. Now let's put these back. I'm going to close all of this stuff too and just open the specific 4 we need, which are TileGrid H and C inside of shared bindings and inside of shared module. Okay. So shared bindings dot H. We add this. Do we need anything else in here? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's go shared bindings C. So here, I'm also, again, just going to copy paste pixel shader. Then change everything that we need. So this is now bitmap. It is, really it's the same thing from the constructor, which I think is technically a bitmap, non-dis bitmap, or a shape. However, I don't know. This has to like import those or what? Okay. Git pixel shader here is gonna be git bitmap. Should have kept the git there. Git bitmap. Bitmap object. Maybe I should do a find replace on shader. Of course, I also don't want to overwrite the actual pixel shader one. Guess I could check for and be careful. Let's see, so object set bitmap. This one takes self, and then it also takes another one of these objects, which we're going to call bitmap. We should eventually. We should check for the right types, I guess. This type, is this the easy way to do this, or is there an easier way to do this? I think right now I'm just gonna check for the one type. I'm not gonna worry about onDis bitmap or shape right now. If this works, then I'll come back and fill out the rest of this to work with onDis bitmap and shape. But since I don't know if it's going to work, it'd be a shame to like write more code and then find out it still doesn't work for some other reason that I'm not able to see right away. Bitmap must be display.io.bitmap. Just cut that out for now. There. Turn none when we set it, which makes sense. This will be bitmap object. It's not really the bitmap object, it's like the object that represents the API, kind of. We have properties, and the properties are getter, get bitmap object, and setter, set bitmap object. From none, I don't know what that does. Okay, so that is all of our stuff inside shared bindings C. So we have C and H both taken care of inside of bindings. Module H. Do we have anything in here? We may not need to do anything in here because it already has a bitmap. We're just exposing it. Yeah, none of these things, none of the rest of these things in here have anything to do with exposing pixel shader, so I'm guessing we won't need anything here to expose the bitmap either. Again, I'm kind of like, the pixel shader is kind of like my template here. And we already have the same thing for it, which I think this is just the field like on the object, basically. This is kind of defining what fields will be available. We already have that, so then over into C, we will need some stuff though. Find set pixel shader, get pixel shader both exist right here. We'll copy those. I'm gonna hook up some of this stuff here. Bitmap. Bitmap, and I'm pretty sure this self arrow bitmap is like a self dot bitmap on the Python side. It does already exist. Yeah. Oh, well, this is different. Width and tiles, but it does already exist as well. Already getting this as well. How's it going, Dexter? Good morning. Well, it's morning where I'm at. Good day. Saturday. Saturdays are usually a good day. Set. Oh no, did I do get first? Get bitmap. If you didn't catch the beginning, I'm working on trying to make it so we can update the bitmap on a TileGrid, because I think that will lead to the tab layout being better code if we're able to just change the bitmap after the fact. Right now you have to declare it when you create it, but if we had a property for it and we could update it later, then we could switch between the active and the inactive bitmaps on our TileGrid. This will take bitmap, is the same type. We'll update it to here, bitmap. Full change. I guess this probably has something to do with refreshing, and we definitely do want to refresh after we change the bitmap. So I'm going to leave that to true. And I might be all the boiler. No. I'm definitely missing at least one thing. There's a thing where we have to list all the properties, which is the thing I tend to always forget when I'm adding something to the core. I think this is back inside shared bindings, actually, though. Have get bitmap, set bitmap. It's maybe down here? Yeah, this. Where's pixel shader in here? Ooh, this doesn't have pixel. Oh, it does. Yeah, it does. I wonder what this is all about. I didn't put this there, did I? 485? Oh, it does have line numbers. No, that's how it is. Seems like a strange amount of white space. What's up, buddy? Cat just bounding upstairs, looked over at me. Hopefully he's not going to bite my legs. This is a new game he likes to play. Do I dare take out this giant space? I mean, it's C code, right? C code, the white space doesn't matter? Really, this is just accidental, right? Famous last words. Okay. Now I think we might actually have done everything, at least everything that I know of. Until it fails and I can see a traceback or something. Yeah, so I'm going to build this, actually. Yep, I'm going to build this for the Titano. I'm going to clean. I have no idea what the previous thing I built was. Oh, I never did update submodules. Alright, well, we'll see if this succeeds or not. This would be super cool if this works. I got to thinking about the way that I was going to manage which one of these is active last night, and it'll work moving them around, but being able to keep them in the same spot and just change the bitmap will be a lot nicer. Nested extern. Okay, before we even fix that, let's do our make fetch submodules, just in case that's affecting anything here. So I should have done that before I started. I don't think this will actually cause the error that we just saw, but should have done it. And it's worth it to just do it and rule it out all the way. While that is running, I will take a look though. So it's basically saying what? On TileGrid C inside shared bindings, 397. Nested extern declaration. Does that mean this doesn't exist? From here, I think it's declared inside of here. Yeah. Bitmap, get bitmap. But it is only declared. Need to be imported or something like that? Don't know. Again, it's probably going to fail the same way, but yeah. Level. Implicit declaration of function common how display TileGrid set bitmap. Did you mean common how display TileGrid get bitmap? Did I? I don't think I meant that. This is weird that there's obj set bitmap and then set bitmap obj. That's how it is here too. Implicit declaration. This only appears one place. Not get like imported or anything, at least by this name. Weird. I mean get bitmap, but I didn't. I meant set, I think, right? Nested extern declaration. Are there more errors? No? So inside the function, TileGrid object set bitmap. This function. Took self. Took this bitmap mp object t. We basically turned self into TileGrid type of object, it looks like to me, is what's going on there. Check if bitmap is a bitmap object. Raise a thing if it's not. Call the common how set bitmap. Or none. Explicit declaration of function. Okay, so the instinct about it not basically not being able to find it. It's kind of my instinct. Seems to be right. Why can it not find it though? Especially why can it, I mean, get is in the same place, isn't it? Does this actually work if we do get? No. Well, okay, because get doesn't take any other arguments. But if it knows how many arguments that it takes, it did find it. No previous prototype. Oh. What did I just change? Back to set. What if we commented out? We would get the same error that we just saw. Maybe a further clue about why set bitmap is not found. Oh, no, first we have the problem of unused variable self. Okay, now this gets us back to this error. Maybe we messed up the declaration of this. Inside shared module. No previous prototype. The function is used before being declared. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Oh, gosh darn it. Yeah. Yep. Got the old set. All right. It's lasting longer. I love how the speed at which it crashes or doesn't crash becomes like cause for hope. Nice. Okay. Oh, I told somebody I would start doing this the other day. I should actually do this. Which is which? Oh, I'm not using the timer anyway, though. Okay. Pull this to the device. And, well, let's make sure this doesn't break at least. Yeah, this should still do the same thing because we aren't actually using that new functionality yet. And I think what I'll do is actually just back this off a bit to a simpler test case. This is the tab layout test. Let's get the later test. Doesn't do quite as much as the whole tab test. This one just inflates a couple of these things. And so then let's try just changing the bitmap on one. Although one problem we have is the way this is written here, we don't have the bitmap objects. But we did actually change this yesterday to where we can get them if we want. I don't know, I'm probably not going to write this right from memory. Oops. Yesterday we made it to where we can pass in the object load. Image load dot load. Load dot load. I was close. Oh, actually I did get it right, but I was about to type load image. So I don't really count it as getting it right. I just gave up before I messed up, which is a good time to give up, I guess, right before you mess up. So it's not all bad. Load. Okay, so we'll just do this. Also made these to keywords. We should use them. What did I call it? BMP palette or what object? No, BMP palette. Okay. Does this still work? Yes. I think this is the one up here, which is this. Yeah, 2 wide, 6 tall. That looks like that. So then, well, okay, let's change one more of these, I guess, to use the objects as well so that we have a second object. Okay. Does it still work? Yes. So now if we set the bitmap on this one to be the yellow and gray one, and it actually changes, then we celebrate. I'm gonna build some anticipation too. Let's do it like this so we can actually see it live if it works. 3 seconds. So we're gonna go inflated tile grid bitmap equals second bitmap. All right. Fingers crossed. Let's get this open too, actually. That device doesn't exist. There we go. Okay. Okay. Time.sleep. Okay. It changed. It's all messed up. But it did change. Interesting. So let's try moving it afterwards also, just to see if like it's a refresh problem. That's pretty weird. Definitely has more blue than yellow or gray, so... Oh. The palette didn't change. Palette didn't change. We would need to go inflated... You know, sometimes I wonder if Bitmap should not hold palette. It seems strange sometimes how they're separate. It does make for some cool capabilities, though. So we actually need to do this as well, which is ironic because this is what we based all our code on. We need to change this also to second palette. Okay. Now, fingers crossed. It worked. No way. Okay, can we just go back and forth? First palette. Yeah, celebrate for real. Oh, okay, that is awesome. All right. Yep, that's super cool. This is gonna make the tab layout so much easier. I'm a little surprised that it was that easy. That easy, right? I mean, this is like at the bounds of my capabilities inside the core, so I pulled it off. I guess maybe easy is not the right word for it, but I'm surprised that it didn't require more changes inside the core, really is what I should say. Okay. That is awesome. All right, so I guess let's make a PR to the core, because we have to actually we have to actually get this into the core to be able to use it inside the library, so I don't want my library to be tied to like my one little build of CircuitPython here. So let's clean this up a bit and submit it as a PR to the core. And then after that, I'll get back to doing the layout stuff. We should probably also make an even more basic example. This example also makes use of the inflator thing, which this change doesn't actually depend on the inflator thing. So we should make an actual low level, just make a tile grid and change it out example to be able to either add to the core as a test or at least show in the PR as a test. That's awesome. Okay. I'm so glad that works like that. This is going to make it so much nicer to do things like buttons. We have display button, which uses, I think, display shapes to draw its buttons. This will give us the ability, though, to make like all the way 100% customizable buttons. If you want like circle buttons instead of rectangle or rounded rectangle, or if you want your buttons to be like any shape, any visuals, 3D effects. There's a lot of stuff that this allows us to achieve, being able to change a tile grid like this. Oh, cool. Okay. We'll go back here. So really, I think the things we need to do to clean it up some are this check here. We should be checking for the other two types as well. So does this happen inside the constructor? Make new. Yeah. This one works differently though. This one is doing cast to display IO shape type, and then it looks like this is kind of saying if it failed. So I assume if this cast fails, this thing will end up being null. So it's like cast it and then check if it's null. But I wonder, can we just fill in shape type in here into this is type thing? We already have one. I don't know what else I really expected it to require, but I definitely did expect it to take more. I think there's like a format or two. This was what, shape? Was it just display IO shape? Oh, display IO shape. This is not, I was thinking this was vector IO shape, but it's not. This is display IO shape, which is a different thing. Not very commonly used, but it does exist. I should play with that one of these days. I think there's some pretty interesting stuff we could do with it as well. Bitmap. Put the TileGrid. It goes against, I guess, like the design guidelines a little bit, where the design guidelines kind of state like properties are preferred over setters, like setter functions. But I almost wonder if we should not make a setter function that takes both the bitmap and pixel shader and updates both at the same time. It doesn't probably matter too much visually, especially because, I mean, this changes fast. Like, I don't... Let me look at it straight on. Yeah, I don't... To my eye, it's like instantly changing to the other one. It's not like a wipe effect or anything. Let's do this big one and see if it changes there. We'll make this build first, I guess. That'll serve as a test for this as well. I think we're ready, actually, to make it, so let's do that. Yeah, make this build and test it. So yeah, I was saying, though, it's like a minor efficiency thing, but technically, I guess, we have for a single frame or whatever, there's a period where we updated the bitmap, we got that weird staticky looking thing, and then, you know, a couple microseconds later or whatever, we updated the palette, and that staticky thing changed again to the actual thing we want to see. If this was a single step, it'd be more likely that we don't spend time where this one has been set, but this one hasn't. But it's so fast, like, I don't even know that it matters. Maybe that's like premature optimization trying to fix a problem that's not actually there. Will it work with on-disk bitmap? That's a good question. Truthfully, I didn't even know. So I didn't realize you could do this tile thing with on-disk bitmaps. I thought you had to use image load. So I've never actually, I don't think I've ever actually done the TileGrid changing indexes of tiles with an on-disk bitmap that I can recall. So I'd have to test that, and if that works the same way as it does when you provide an image load bitmap, then I think this would still work the same. Being able to switch between. We can give that a try as well, though. Oops, this is the wrong terminal. All right, we finished that. I need to figure out the command. Does anybody know the command that this runs, basically? It'd be nice if I could unmount it from here without always having to open this. Is it umount? Umount and then pass the drive path? That would be convenient. Honestly, we could make one script that does all of this, like unmount, reboot in bootloader mode, copy the file. That could be one command. Well, one like scripted command. That would be kind of nice. All right. We have not broken anything. Oops, it restarted again. Doesn't look like we broke anything though. U-mount? Okay, I'll have to figure that out. That sounds like much better than trying to bounce back and forth between all those windows. We're good still. Let's do the big one and see if there's any tearing or anything. This is like instantly being able to change a huge thing. Maybe we'll also bump it up to the size of the screen or something. See the biggest one we can do. See if it eventually starts tearing. You know, probably will at some size, I guess, but... We could just say other inflated tile grid. We could swap them. Other inflated tile grid dot bitmap equals first bitmap. Pixel shader. First palette. Now they'll swap back and forth. Okay. I feel like I can see this one wipe, but that could be the camera too. No. Yeah, I can totally see that one wipe. This one wipes down from the top. But it's still pretty quick. Like, that's definitely reasonable for screen updates, for changing buttons and stuff. The more subtle the change, the less noticeable that'll be as well. If we didn't have a giant white region turning to a giant gray region, if we had it a lighter gray, or if it wasn't so big, it would probably not be as noticeable either. But I definitely do see that wiping down. I don't think we'll ever... I mean, without some major improvements inside the core, I don't think that will be something we can solve. But I am more than pleased with the performance of this, truthfully. I don't see any issue with that. We could even, let's push it a bit further. Let's make it huge. Make it like screen sized, roughly. Other inflated tile grid, let's go 0, 0. I'm not gonna take all the other ones out. I'm just gonna put this one on top and then make it huge. I don't know what the multiple will be. These I think are I think these are 16 by 16 tiles. I don't have to be exact either. I could just guess. I could just give it a big number. Yeah, 48. Yeah, so the tiles are 16. So does 480 divide by 16? Good, right? Should be 30 or something, I think. Yeah. 30. What is it? 480 by 320? 480 by 320? 360? The actual size of this. Second guessing myself. Oops. By 320. Okay. Does 320? 320 should as well. That should be 20, I think. 320 or 16. 20, yeah. And we should have a Gigantor one. Oh, nice. The other one's drew on top of it, even. Okay, yeah, definitely the wipe. The wipe is even more pronounced. But I mean, that's going to come with territory. Especially at this size. This is like, with the one exception being like the Broadcom port and the HDMI. I think with that one exception, this is probably the biggest screen that CircuitPython would be likely to be using right now. There probably are external screens bigger than this that you could technically hook up, but none like built in. I don't think I've even seen any projects with external ones. The Broadcom port, I assume, though, probably just goes up to 1920 by 1080. I still haven't played with that. I need to do that. But this is the biggest like built-in screen. So this is like as big of a bitmap as you should ever probably need outside of that Broadcom port. TileGrid, it's not actually a bitmap. The bitmap's actually small, which is the magic of the inflator, but okay. I mean, I'm happy with that. Let's get back to our PR. Let's also undo some of that. We don't really need it to be that big. Did I have 12 by 10 before, I think? Something like that. And I don't know, this was something like this. Yeah, that's pretty close. It might have been further over or something, but what else do we need to do for the PR here? I will test on disk bitmap because I am curious about that as well. As far as this PR though, not that we need anything else. Is there pre-commit? Pre-commit is how the code format runs. Pre-commit. All that stuff. Translations. Translate. Yeah, I think there's a different way to do this that doesn't require making these strings. I think there is a function that will do this check for you and has like a generic wrong type message that already has translations. Where on earth would I have done this though? Can you do like by author, owner? Your pull requests, okay. Oh, also it's they're not open though, it's closed. Yes, this. MP arg validate type. Oh, maybe this has to be while it's in arg? Arg? Really in the arg section, I guess. Yeah, because this is like how the constructor code is, but not how the properties are. This is like up here inside make new, it has these MPQ string things, and it has args. It has all of these like arg bitmap, arg. This could be used here though. Well, this is not really checking. I mean, it's checking for type, but not to see if it's, I guess it is down here. This is basically the exact kind of code that this arg validate type thing is meant to replace, I'm pretty sure. Although I don't know if it can do two types. So maybe that's the reason why it's not done here. This one's definitely checking a single type. This is trying to do two. Okay. So I won't mess with that. I won't mess with that. If there is a better way to do it, then somebody can let me know on the PR. But I'm not confident that this arg validate type, I think it might be wanting to use this arg stuff in this MPQ string thing we don't really have down here. I could be wrong though. It's possible I'm wrong and it is possible to use. We do have the same problem of the multiples too though. We are checking 3 types, not just one. There is that as well. And there's really, I don't know that there is much more. Oh, okay, so it said to run make translate. Larger external screen and controller board aren't display out compatible. It just uses macro graphics language. Oh, okay. The larger external screen controller board. I gotcha. All right, we passed. Okay, so then that would have done the formatting for us, and it checked our translations, and we're good there. I think we're ready to push this, but now, oh. See, this happens sometimes. I don't know why this happens. I think this is because I'm running pre-commit A. Pre-commit A is like all files. I'm starting to think that most people contributing to the core don't run this pre-commit A. And when I run this, this is making changes in a bunch of files that I did not otherwise touch, like this one here. Is there pre-commit, is there a different thing than A that's like only the code files that are changed? This doesn't even list A. I guess it's a subhook of run. All files. Specific file. I mean, specific files, I guess, are what I want, but it'd be great to not have to specify them and just be like, run it on the ones that changed. Doesn't look like that exists. Anyway, what I'm going to do is uncheck all of these, and I'm only going to check in the ones that actually contain relevant changes, which are this, because it's a translation file, these, because I actually changed them, And I think that's it. All the rest of this is all just formatting that I didn't actually touch. Maybe I should install pre-commit. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to work. Does anybody know if you install pre-commit on a repo, does it know to only check the stuff that you actually try to commit? That's probably what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. Oh, you know what? One thing I guess we should probably do is make sure the getter works. Isn't gonna let me push. Okay, so let me solve this problem while we're here. Try not to dox myself with a GitHub token here. Fortunately, there's not gonna be much for you all to look at for a minute while I find the right screen here. I have like a billion tokens because I keep having to create new ones, and it doesn't let you see them. Yet another token, again. Say in here now? Needs what? Create or update workflow. Needs workflow scope. Repo, workflow. Does it need anything else? Gist? I feel like for some reason I had to turn on gist before. That doesn't make sense to me though. Applications, user, right, admin. Alright, let's try this. We have repo, we have workflow. Seems like it should be what we need. Copy. How do I get it to let me type it in though? It's not even letting me type it in. Yeah, that's dumb. When this fails like this, it should be like, hey, do you want to type a different token? I don't know. How do I change it? Probably shouldn't do it on the screen, sorry. I do find it. Hopefully it's hidden, but I have no idea. PyCharm change GitHub token. Version control. Side settings. Control. Yeah. That is default, remove, add. No change then? With plus. Seems lazy. There's create and delete, but there is just no change. So like create a new one, delete the old one, I guess is the intended workflow, but that seems Repo. It says right here, repo, gist, and read org. All right, cancel. You delete that. Yep. Yep. Make another new one. Get another token again. We're going to give it the same name. Repo, workflow, which PyCharm doesn't know about. Read org, gist. I have no idea why I would need gist. It shouldn't really need that. Not pushing anything into gist. Generate token. Do this. Plus token paste. Add account. Oh, foamyguy already added. Yeah, I know it's already added. It doesn't work. That's why we're trying to fix it. Thank you, though. That very helpful error message. Okay. Default? Okay. And I'm pretty sure I gave it that. Okay, it looks like I can change a token. Permissions. Oh, I also set an expiration date on it. No, I gave it workflow. The workflow is checked. Workflow is checked. Okay. This wants to be closed and opened. Version control is amazing when everything works. Kind of incredibly frustrating when stuff like this happens and you're like, I just want to push. That's so much to ask for. I've been pushing for months in the same way, and now it's like, nope, can't push. Need to give it workflow. You give it workflow and it's like, nope, can't push. Need to give it workflow. You're like, I already gave it workflow. I don't know how to give it workflow anymore. Generate. Ooh, I can change the expiration, which is nice. Recopy. Okay, actually, what happens if I just push? All right. Some combination of close open, delete again, add again, regenerate token without changing permissions, but with changing the expiration, which is actually nice. Something in that list made it work. Now we're back to doing actual things, not fighting version control. Oh no. I wonder why the latest thing failed. Okay. We should. Oh, what is that? No, why is that? That shouldn't be different. I don't think. Hmm. So I just took all the changes for this file. And apparently there were other changes that were not mine. Let's try this again. If fetch Adafruit. I don't really want to do it again. Alright. And I said that we were back to doing other stuff and not fighting version control. I was a little bit ahead of myself, apparently. Are still fighting version control. But do I make another commit to undo that? I don't even know why that would be different, though. What? Alright, where is that file? Locale? Thousand. Inside main, this is like this. Make a new branch. Update bitmap. Oh, already pulled before, I think. Did say it failed to do something. Maybe that was part of it? From? It canceled. Why? It canceled. More information. When in doubt, make a new clone. And so we shall make a new clone. All files are up to date. What does this actually look like in here? It does have this. So now we have branch from before, but it's in this new clone project. I want to make a new branch, git checkout -b TileGrid update bitmap for bitmap property. Really matter, it just needs to be different so I can tell it apart. From main, no track. Okay. Now I want to basically merge from this into my current branch. No, that got rid of it. Okay. Delete this. Make another new branch. Compare with current. Oh, I don't have the arrows though. I want the arrows. Here we go. Pull this in. Pull this in. We're done in this file. Go through these three, we pull everything. Okay. Now this one, we bring this. We don't bring this. Don't bring this. We keep this. I don't know why this is like this. I don't know. I don't get why this is where that came from. Close this. Close this. Save. Mid. We have one change inside of here, which is our error message. Then we have all of the changes from our TileGrid. Recommit install. I don't know, does it integrate with this? What happens if I make the commit this way? Did that run? I don't know if that ran. And I guess we already had the output from the previous one, so should be passing. I have no idea if it ran though. Event log. 4 files committed. Tell you if it ran. Oh, I don't know. Either it did or it didn't. Now here. No, okay. Wrong branch. Oh, I didn't push. I didn't push. I only committed. Double check one more time. We only changed one thing in here. Yeah. It's our thing. Push. Now we go back here. All right. We need to actually make this. And I don't really want to have to make it rely on the later. We're going to kind of go back a level here. We're going to make a group. We're going to load a bitmap. We're not going to do this. We're going to load a second bitmap. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do any of these. We're not going to do any of these. None of those yet. Not this. These. None of this. Okay. So we want to create a tile grid. Bitmap equals first bitmap pixel shader. Width and height We do 3x3? Yeah, let's just do 3x3. No, let's go bigger. I feel like we want this sample code to prove that it works with bigger ones as well. Since our actual sprite is 3x3, it would pretty much be like just showing the bitmap by itself. I think still proves the same thing, but I'm not actually sure. Tile width, tile height, tile width. Default tile. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. Center tile, which is what I want to use default. So let's use 0. It'll make it look like a bunch of corners, but that's all right. Group append. Tile grid. You don't really need multiple tile grids, truthfully. Loading soon. Okay. It looks weird because it's all corners. Do we want to... Yeah, I think let's actually go and fill it in. I don't want the code to use the inflator, the test code here. But I do think it would be nice if it showed a larger panel. So basically just do the same thing we did internally, which is set the 4 corners, tile grid 0 equals 0, which is actually already set, but whatever. Tile grid, tile grid 0, 1, 2, 3 is 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is equal to 6, 15, 8. That should be the 4 corners. Yeah, 4 corners look correct. What if you made the default tile 5? Yeah, I thought about that, because then it would be blank. But honestly, I'm going to go fill them in anyway. Can do that, though, and it wouldn't look as weird. Oh. 3, 4. It's 4, though. Unless you meant 5. If you meant the center one, though, it's 4. Which is what I thought about doing before. Actually, you only need to range 2. Okay, range 2 gives you 0 and 1. Tile grid. X 0 plus 1. Y 3 6 7. That do the top and bottom. Yep. This is the left side, and it's 3. Right side, and it's 4 5. Okay, perfect. Okay. I mean, it's kind of weird to redo all the same logic, which is what's inside the inflator, but I don't want the test code to rely on it. That is working. I think transparent for these ones is 0. I think there's only one shade of pink in these. Could actually do that as well to show that it's working. Yeah. For imports. Get these images. We do what, 1 and 2? Is that what it was? Yeah. Oh. Bummer. Why can't you upload a zip but not a bitmap? A bitmap is a type of file supported by websites and browsers. Zip is a bit more likely to contain viruses and stuff, right? I mean, all right. Check our changes one more time, but I think we're good here. Only change in pot is our actual error. Grid C, we have all of those. Added it. We did make this change as well, where we cut out this big space. We'll mention that in the PR notes. H, declare these functions. Okay. That is awesome. Oh, stretch it out. Okay. You know what else I'm gonna do actually? And then I think I'll probably call it a day for now, at least on the stream. I'm eventually gonna go back and use this inside the tab layout, but I think I'll wait to get feedback on this PR a little bit. I don't want to like necessarily jump ahead and start writing code that uses this and then have somebody, you know, ask for changes on the PR and then I go and make them and have to change my code again. I like to kind of see any kind of feedback we get on this one and then from there start using it in the tab layout. One thing I can do though, which I meant to do actually earlier but didn't, is can review or merge, I think, this other PR, which has gotten reviews now. This is the page layout, which is what our tab layout is based on. This person wrote to me to let me know they tested it. Dang. Nice. They did a thorough job reviewing. I like it. Thank you. If you're watching, I still don't know how to pronounce your name, so I apologize. Maybe it's not meant to be pronounced. Is it just all the vowels? Owie? Thank you for reviewing. Also, I think Dexter, maybe you did this one too earlier? Yeah. This is good to merge too, since our tab layout makes use of this. I also didn't want to necessarily make the tab layout PR until that one was in. And now I think I'll also wait on the bitmap changing unless there's some bigger holdup on that. Because if we can use that, again, I think the code for actually setting which TileGrid is active and not is going to be like dead simple compared to the code that we would have to use today, which is like changing the X of those TileGrids, I think. So we'll say this is a new medium 1.18.0 page layout. Okay. That's in. We have a couple of more minutes. I'm not quite ready to quit just yet. I think let's try the onDis bitmap one actually. I don't know how to make an onDis bitmap though off the top of my head. Probably should. If I guessed at it, I'd probably get pretty close. I could probably get there based on the errors, but also just look it up. Oh, we should change this. We should get rid of this one. Okay, yeah. This is why I felt this way before. I was like, wouldn't it make sense if the bitmap actually held the palette? And that's how it works for these. You create an onDis bitmap, you get a bitmap object, and then bitmap.pixelShader is the palette. So this type of bitmap does hold its own palette, but the image load one doesn't. They're separate objects. That's interesting. I wonder if there is a technical reason for that difference. I think it might make sense to try to equalize those APIs. So I lean towards this one being more convenient, but I'd be open to arguments that the other one is more convenient. But I do think they should be the same if they can. Shouldn't be image load gives you two objects and onDis bitmap gives you one object which contains the second one. I feel like that should equalize. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Really what we want is the loading code, which we found, so let's do that. Okay, and then, so this will be first bitmap dot pixel shader, second bitmap dot pixel shader. You actually have to pass it here, although it is kind of weird that you have to pass it separately like this. Internally, TileGrid maybe could check for if you don't pass it this, then it could try to find it on this. Might be kind of nice. Here we'll have to do these as well. Second bitmap.pixel shader. Bitmap pixel shader. All right, does that work? Sure does. Seems to work the same. Nice. So is there a benefit to image load? we're if we're using it this way, obviously the benefit to image load is it puts the image in memory. If you want to make changes to it at the pixel level, then you definitely need to have it in memory. We're not changing anything at the pixel level though. Everything we're doing is at the tile level. And if this works with an on-disk bitmap, then I can't think of a reason off the top of my head that we would need to use image load instead. Does this have a width and a height? Current width? Oh. Okay, so the JavaScripts. Yeah. Size. Has an XY. Of course, the TileGrid XY is the thing actually that has the XY. Yeah, I don't know. I guess on-disk bitmap seems better for this, right? It should save memory because we're not loading it. We're not loading it into. I mean, it's got to be in memory though to be able to be doing these tile manipulations. I don't really know. Maybe it doesn't take as much memory. Not really. I'm not super clear on the difference. The main difference I know is that with on-disk bitmap, you can't just individually rewrite certain pixels. But with image load, you can. You could load the bitmap and then you can just like change the pixels. You could paint new pixels on it. You could fill things. You could draw squares in it. You can do whatever you want. On disk bitmap, you can show it on the screen, but you can't manipulate the individual pixels. But I mean, it must be in memory in some capacity. Otherwise, how could it get all these tiles broken out and put them in the right place? It feels like it must be loaded still somehow. Yeah, that's what I've always thought. See, Grover, that it's slower but use less memory. So I guess maybe the updating might be slower. I mean, it still seems pretty instant to my eye at this size. But maybe it is, like if you actually got out a scope or some kind of measuring instrument, maybe it is actually running slower. And I do believe that it, I mean, that was my thought as well, that it used less memory, but thinking about it now, because like I also didn't think you could use an on-disk bitmap with a tile grid like this and like make a different size tile grid and chop up all the tiles and put it into it. And I thought that was a consequence of it not being in memory, not using as much memory. But since this tells us we can do it that way, I'm back to being a little perplexed, because I would have thought we would need it to be in memory in order to do all this tile slicing, changing stuff. But it seems like not. So if it is true that it uses less memory, then I must be wrong about my assumption of it needing to be in there for that. Has to be in memory between updates and only updates if dirty? Possibly. Yeah, maybe it just doesn't stick around past the time that it draws. Draws and then clears itself. That could be. That would be an interesting thing to look into. I wonder, I think Scott's done a deep dive where he explained some of the internals of display.io. At the time that it happened, it was still way over my head. Probably is still a fair amount of it is probably still over my head, but it might be good to go back and watch again and see if he talks about some of this stuff. Maybe it's in cache. Could be. Yeah, I don't know how it works. This is cool though that you can do this. This like actually opens up quite a bit of stuff. I mean, it doesn't open up new things, but it opens up projects because you can, and assuming that assumption is correct, that this is using less memory, this allows you to like have fancier sprite sheets and more things showing. Pretty cool. All right. I'll check on, I don't really think probably anybody has put anything on the PR yet, but I'll check on it while we're here, and then I think I'm going to wrap it up after that, probably. Yeah. ISIS. ISIS. Oh, MSIS. MSIS. Guy hates it. What that is. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head out for now. So this was really cool. It's kind of slow going, I imagine. It's definitely, I can't iterate as quickly in the core as I can in Python at this point. Doing a lot more fumbling around, but we made it work. It actually works how I was expecting, or I should say it works how I was thinking it might. Truthfully, I was expecting it not to work. I was pleasantly surprised that it did. But we got it. This, I think, is really cool new functionality, and I will put it into the tab layout once we have some kind of feedback here, once we have an idea of like if this will make it in anytime soon or not. So yeah, thank you to everybody for watching. C. Grover, Dexter, Gordy, I think Johnny was here as well, Jim Hendrickson. Thank you to all you folks. Yeah, I'll be back on Friday again for a deep dive, Friday evening, and then I'll be back next week, Saturday at the same time as well. So Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Central. About 2 hours ago from right now, whatever time it is in your time zone. About 2 hours ago is when I started, and I should be starting again next Saturday. Thanks all. I hope everybody has a good day, a good weekend, has a lot of fun. I'll catch you next time.